Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on October 15th, 2023 at approximately 4:32 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day to day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the precise philosophies I actually guide my own life by. Now, these tools and philosophies I've shared with literally thousands of people around the world with varying degrees of success on their part, depending entirely on their own efforts to implement what we talk about. Now, before I get into anything, this is, as we know, an open topic today. So let us get something up and running because, quite frankly, I can't see what I'm doing. So, let me do this. I barely got in here in time, in all fairness, and even then I was a couple of minutes late. So let's bring this up so I can actually see it. And we have Football Cat in with the gold. Steve Knox, you're in with silver. And Nathan, you're in with the bronze. And of course, with Nathan being the first one with his own stream in the chat room here, we will take the information, and here is the link to Nathan's stream. And we go. Where are we here? Of course it's going to argue. There we are. Now, that said, take a look at Nathan's stream. Do listen to what he has to say. If you like what he says, if you like his stream, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. It'd be really appreciated. Okay, now, you're more than welcome there, Nathan. Sorry I didn't make yesterday's show, but things have been really screwy for me over the last little while. Donna, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And Donna, you are actually in with honorable mention today. And welcome aboard, Joe. Glad to see you here. Now, what do we got? Joe's just gone. Hey, I'm doing good today. Church this morning went very good. It was a lovely mass. Confession and Holy Communion was excellent. That's great, Joe. I'm really happy for you. And this is why I tell people, church does have a purpose. The fact that I personally don't go does not mean it's a bad place. I just have a different way of looking at the world. However, that said, rest assured, do I still believe in God? Do I still believe in Christ? Absolutely. So, what are we looking at here? Now, there's a couple of things. I know I'm behind in emails and what have you. I saw a number of messages. Quite frankly, with the way today's been going, when I get done this stream, I undoubtedly am going to lay down for an hour. Considering, how did it go? Today, 15th. Got to bed at 1 o'clock. So yeah, right now, well, it's not bad. I'm working on 4.5 hours of sleep. But this is sort of one of those things I'm trying to figure out how to work with a little better. So we are looking at that now. What do I got here? Walk away, and all of a sudden we got, oh, there we are. Now, I am working on a number of different projects, obviously. One of the biggest things I'm looking at is this. Okay, I just was running numbers today, and I'll tell you, it's a good thing I look at success, not from where I'm standing, but from where I come from. I'm going to be, by the look of it, unless something really bizarre happens in the extremely near future, I'm going to be cutting it really tight on the financial side. But this is the last time I have to worry about that. Lord, hey Jack, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, the thing there, Donna. You know, um, Donna's just adding. I do too, but I do not attend church either. I heard a lot of people caught COVID while at church. Yeah, it's amazing, and don't get me wrong, I'm a firm believer. If you believe in prayer, it's very akin to either, spiritual mantras, dream boards. When you put your focus into changing something for the better, okay, it does help make it manifest that way. The real kicker to it is that way too many people are turning around and going, and literally they do this. I've had them do it to me. Okay. Literally, God will protect me from all the evil in the world. Well, it tells you in the Bible, God protects those that pretend, God helps those that help themselves. Meaning, He will warn you about potential complications and going down the wrong road. But if you go down the wrong road anyway, sorry, you were warned. You know, Jack, in answer to your question, right now I'm having to rework finances because I know they're getting tight and I keep postponing things. Bad thing about professional procrastination, you don't get anything accomplished. Did I miss somebody here? I did so. Steve, or did no, I saw you come in. Yeah, that's right. We did so see you come in. But welcome aboard anyway. And we have Amy Tonga here. Now, the neat part about it, where it comes to my financial state, I have worked things out. I'm really not overly stressed out about it. Okay. But am I aware of the challenges? Certainly. I will tell you though, procrastination does not get you very far in life. I'm going to warn you ahead of time, guys. In case you couldn't tell, the throat is not likely to make a 2-hour run. Why? I don't know entirely. But I can tell you that I'm having trouble already. So we will see how long we can run. But when I get, like I said, when I get done, and here's the way this works. If I don't make the 2-hour run, I may come on a little later. You know, but I have a couple of articles I've got to get that I'm going to start posting. I'm working on the I'm working on the newsletter. Yep, we're gonna have a problem today. Which we do know that happens from time to time. Trying to figure out how to get around this. Which I don't think is gonna work that well. Yep, this is one of those days that's just all of a sudden gonna cease. What we got? I agree with you there, Steve. The unfortunate part is I ran out of tea. I ran out of honey this morning. Just trying to think if I've got anything. I got something that might work. So, with that in mind, I will be back in just half a minute. Don't go anywhere, guys. Okay, guys, I'm back. Now, this may just work. This is what is my electrolytic balancer, and it may just help. So we'll find out. Okay. Yeah, it's funny, John. I was talking to somebody today that was really expounding the virtue of the onion side of things. Where are we here? Yeah. Don't have the yellow Listerine, but I do have both olive, onion, ginger, and lemon juice. So I will get that sorted out before it becomes an annoyance. Well, it's already an annoyance. Yo, where are we here? Just scroll down a bit. Just reading what's been passing on here. You know, guys, what's going on in the chat room is precisely why I tell people that the support I get in here is absolutely phenomenal. You know, it really is. Oh yeah, no, that's not a problem there, Nathan. You know, the funny thing is, I look at what's going on here, and this was the whole idea. Okay, yes, I am here to pass on a message, but that bigger message is literally, that bigger message is quite seriously that we've got to be supporting each other. You know, I was planning on coming on your show on your panel there, Nathan. Problem was my energy just up and tanked, which seems to be a bad problem. Oops. Nathan goes, weirdly, last night went from possessed girl to aliens. I do appreciate the plug there, Nathan. I'm actually working on that tonight once I get done with certain things here. You know, because I've got to get that completed, but it's all laid out now, so that works out well. And I will be once I get done that tomorrow. I will post on Facebook or various other places what progress is being made, what page we're on, etc. Now, let me just see here because I do want to make sure get the books out of the way that I don't require. Okay, so what do we got? Pin. Okay, as soon as I get off here and get done, well, actually, in all fairness, when I get off the stream, I'm going to grab a nap. There's no doubt there. Nathan, I've yet to see you not go with the flow when something changes directions on your show. This is one of the neat things about it. I do know right now with Races of the World, the second volume, okay, has currently 84 pages. Now, I've got to do a bunch of work on it. And, I'm about, let's see. Wonder if I've got it open. Races of the Worlds. There we are. Is we take that, move it over here out of the way. And it has. Okay, what happened? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. But right now it's listed as only having 83, but I gotta put the cover back in. Oh, bonus, Donna. Jack, there are 59 races that I've personally dealt with face to face. Okay. I gotta wait for that to scroll up so I can actually see it. But let's go back up here a half second. Don is just telling us, I have a picture of what looks to be a satellite in the sky and a set of eyes high up in the trees. That ought to be intriguing. Now, I have no way of getting it on screen here because I just don't know how to do that. Okay. but I would love to take a look at it there, Donna. And I know people tell me I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. This, if you desire to send it to me, or for that matter, anybody trying to get a hold of me, works as well. Although I do recommend you let me know who you are, because quite honestly, what ends up happening many times, I'll pick up a phone and it's like, oh, I've got this great deal for you because, well, your credit card has been charged X amount. I'm like, I don't have that type, and I'm just not interested in the hassle. But I do tend to answer my phone if I'm not live stream or driving. Okay, not a problem there, Joe. You usually come up with all kinds of things that are just keep everything running. So do not feel bad about that. But Donna, this is that right? Whoops. If you'd like to send that to me there, Donna, that would really be appreciated. This is literally my cell phone. And yeah, I know people say, oh, you shouldn't post that on the chat room. Guys, I'm running a business. That's how to get a hold of me. Okay. But that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. Again, if I'm live stream, I won't be answering. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. An email, I can get it as well. Let me see here. Take that and we go. This is the email address I use for virtually everything. So we pop that in here. And then we have, this is the website that has all 8 of the books listed on it. I'm in the process of figuring out how to update the rest of them. So here is, if you drop by this website, it gives you a written write-up on the different books I've got. I gotta ask Nathan, and I know it's been misplaced, but you did end up getting a copy of the original copy of the Races of the World, did you not? Just a curiosity thing. I know you're just floating in and out. At least I think you are. Okay. Oh, there we go. But I've been working on a number of different projects, and I've really got to get focused. The game today was a little bit of a botch job because I've got character and I've got players that, quite frankly, don't like the answer no. Where are we? I gotta double check one small detail without breaking my legs. My one box. Nathan, where are you? Yeah, I'm out of sight. That doesn't work well. Nathan, and I'm allowed to do this because, well, I wrote the dang thing. If you would be kind enough to get your physical mailing address to me, I will get it out within the next day or two. Today's Sunday, probably tomorrow might be touchy, but I will get it out this week. If you'd be kind enough to, because I'm going to need to get your physical mailing address anyway. Why I don't have your address right where it belongs is, well, subject to my house. Okay. In my house, things go missing regularly. It's just bizarre. Now, let us see. If we go to there and we go, that's right. We refresh that. Yeah, the answer is no. What went into spam? Oh, okay. Okay, I gotta look into all that, but that's okay. Go back there. Oh, I wonder if it went in there. Where are we? Scroll down here to there, because I might just have something here. We go in here and we go. All sorts of things there. That's always handy. Okay, well, I've got enough looking around in that. Um, oh, no, in all fairness, Nathan, in all fairness, the second printing is not ready. I'm referring to sending you, so you don't have to go looking for it, sending you an extra copy of Races of the Worlds. Now, what you do with the spare copy is up to you. This way, if you find the other one, do us both a favor and just pass it on to somebody you know can put it to use. Where so all in all, I'm just trying to get things moving in the right direction. And rest assured, when you're striving to figure it out on your own, it's a pain in the neck. But I will figure it out. Oh, by the way, absolutely jack to do with the off-worlders. Okay, 2 years ago, I was literally in a 38 pant, 38 waist pant line. Okay, I have been working really diligently to drop my weight. As of this morning, I'm in a 34. It's been a long haul, but finally getting there. And what do we got here? Oh, number one, Jack. First and foremost, yes, portals, both local, both in on planet wormholes, and both on planet wormholes and portals, as in going to another planet. They do exist. The Stargate program they're talking about and calling, they're saying, oh, this is all just science fiction. Not entirely. Ken, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. But yeah, portals are a real thing. As a matter of fact, I was somebody that one of my listeners at one point sent me a photograph of a piece of equipment that he couldn't identify. Now that particular piece of equipment is detailed in the second printing. Okay. Um Let me see. I don't need that. That can be minimized and we can open. Where is Row? Okay, we have on the technology 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have seven different chunks of off-world technology that I haven't gone into extreme detail on them. No, I do not have schematics, but I do have the information on what this technology is for, where it came from, and what to do with it. Okay. Wonder if I've got that over there. But with that in mind, now I gotta ask Ken, okay, I just hit 34 today. Do you mind if I ask how, like, I'm presuming, and you do not have to answer this. Odds are, if you're trying to get to a 34, my suspicion is that you're sitting at 36 right now. Because guys up here in Canada, they put the sizes every 2 years or every 2 inches. What do we got here? Yeah, and this is the funny thing. Your white Bigfoots. Well, that was cute English. The white Bigfoot. Okay. In their natural environment are referred to as abominable snowman or Yeti. They are the same species. Okay. Oh, I wasn't that bad, Ken. The worst I got was a 38. Yeah, if you're looking at white Bigfoot, the other name for them, depending on who you're talking to, is the abominable snowman or the Yeti, but they are the same species. I still have to talk to somebody, and there's a number of you in here that I could talk to about what I've heard called the skunk ape or dogman. Dogman, I suspect, is not the same thing, but I do debate the issue of the skunk ape. It is possible, in my eyes, it is likely that the skunk ape is a swamp dwelling Bigfoot, especially adapted to it. You know, but again, this is why I'm putting all the documents together. As a matter of fact, let me see something here. Not this. Up here. No, still going through files. Okay, to get everything patched up where it belongs. Okay, all in all, I look at what I'm doing and looking at the stuff that I've been sorting through. You know, it is going away. As a matter of fact, where is it? Not that box, because I think that box. Pretty certain. Oh, yeah, that box is that. So, think what we're going to do is this. And no, I'm not actually going very far. He says I keep putting things off because I get sidetracked because I got too many things going on. Becomes a bit of a complication. But when you get your mindset, like if I ever get my mindset, I'll be happy. By the way, like I said, this is my electrolytic balancer. And yes, as you can tell, it's opened the throat up a little. Where are we here? Jack is writing the 0 point energy, unlimited energy, is something that I obsess over. If that's being kept from humanity, is beyond criminal. The good news, Jack, is it's not being kept from humanity. It's that humanity is not ready to actually utilize it. Most people believe that it's unattainable. Okay. Most people are looking at unlimited energy and thinking it's a technological thing. It is not. Okay. And I suspect now where's my list? Think we should go into that, shouldn't we? I almost said, okay, who wants to talk about 0 point energy? Okay. And yeah, I said, let's see a show of hands. I'm thinking I'm going to run into a problem with the show of hands thing. Okay, but 0 point energy, that's what I've come to call it, and what many scientists seem to call it, is working with energy. 0 point energy is working with matter creation. Okay, this is precisely what the Mobians did. Okay, now understand, Mobians were human. Technically still are, but they, mentally speaking, they've evolved way beyond modern day. But you take your hands, palms towards each other, okay, put them about half an inch to a quarter inch apart, a quarter inch to half an inch apart. Now you'll notice you can still see my chest between it, okay? But when you put your hands that close, okay, you'll feel something between your hands. It may be a pulse, it may come across as heat. I had one person describe it as bubbles, much like if you put your hand on the top of the water when a when the jet what are they called? I want to call them aquajet, but your bubble in the bubble generators in the bathtub. When you see that water boiling like that, or more to the point turning, put your hand on top of that and you'll feel that kind of pressure. Okay, this is 0 point energy. Okay, so you do that, and as you're concentrating on it, think of one word only. That one word, heal. As you do that, you'll feel the energy get stronger, and you just continue to pull your hands apart until you can, until you can't feel it. When you get them too far apart, come back to where you can. Now, I've reached a point for me where, I can go that far out and not have enough room because you'll notice my hand is kinked. Well, my arms are only so long. Okay. But this is what we're talking about is the matter between the atoms. Okay. Now I will go into that a little further here. Where are we here? What do we got? Now, Joe, when it comes to having a certain dream, okay, when you go to bed at night, does what you watch on TV also have a lot to do with it too? The best way I can answer that is it may well. Okay. When you watch something, if it really hits you on an emotional level, or if it hits you on an emotional level, it may cause you to dream about it. Or if it gets you thinking about, gee, that'd be really nice. If you go to bed thinking about a given movie, it is quite possible that movie will override everything else. The three primary purposes of dreaming. Okay. One, your first primary purpose is for your higher self to pass information down to you to give you a heads up on what you're coming up against. Okay. Second reason is to release excess stress from your life so you don't destroy your body in the process. The third one is literally reliving an enjoyable movie, as in it picks it up, it records it, and then replays it for you. Sometimes it's an enjoyable movie, sometimes it's just emotionally charged. Oh, I understood what you were getting at, Jack. And here's the thing. First and foremost, all the energy in the world will not render the petrol gas industry obsolete. Okay, it cannot. And the reality is, we've got to have that industry. If you desire to have some of your foodstuffs, I know that's twisted, okay, much of your clothing, and virtually all of your computers, we rely on the petrol industry, okay? And this is why we have to realize the obsolescence of the gas industry. You're looking at probably 50 to 100 years down the road. Okay, this does not mean we should stop looking at the energy-free world. Absolutely, Jack. It absolutely has. But it's done that because people have bought into that side of it. Think of it this way. Okay, okay, and you just look at yourself. Okay, do you ever take the time to walk to where you're going? If it's only, let's say it's a 15-minute walk, do you take the time to walk it, or do you hop in the car and drive it because it's easier? Okay. Like I know with grocery shopping, instead of dragging a bag with me, I will drive down and get it, or I'll get somebody else to deliver. Okay. But when we are talking about relying so heavily on the industry, you got to remember that our way of life that has been marketed to you, that has been marketed to all of you, well, to all of us, has been literally done, okay, in order to keep you living in fear, in living of a lack thereof, and in paying the footing the bill so other people can actually get be more comfortable. You know, the reality of it is there's a lot of hiccups in society. Absolutely. What have we got here? Jack's going, my deal is humanity jumped in years, then just stopped. Absolutely. And if you look at it, you take a look at it. Let's look at a number of things. Okay, let's go back. Now, I graduated in 81, so we're only looking 40 years ago. Okay, absolutely it is, Jack. You know, you go back 40 years. Okay, couple of things happened. Number one, back then, kids were taught. Now, not all parents know how to handle all things by any stretch. Okay, so the schools used to teach such basic things like home ec. Okay, the ability to simply do such neat little things like darn a sock. Okay, or like do the wash the dishes. Do grocery shopping. They used to teach simple banking in the schools because not every parent, especially back then, and even today, not every parent could do that. They've stopped doing that. Jack goes, is the world better, safer? Probably, yes. Well, first and foremost, if you look at the stats, it's not so much it's safer, but I will tell you this: there are way more people that are getting the news and seeing things going on and passing it on. Okay. However, mankind's predilection for it is my right to have such and such. We got to realize that literally everybody is of equal value. Okay. Now, myself, when I talk about not driving a whole lot, I'm retired. Okay, essentially. And that said, last year, like for not this year, but my last year that I paid for my insurance at the end when I got my auto insurance back in March, March to March, I only drove 2,700 kilometers. Okay, which means about 2,000 miles ish over the course of the year. Now, this is because I chose not to drive, but instead to walk where I was going. And yeah, I did that on a bad leg. Okay, but we've got to get back to the basic ideas of communication and what have you. You know, can we get back to thinking and back to doing things using older methods? Absolutely, we can. The question is not functionally can we, but will the majority of people choose to? And it only takes a couple of us to start. Now, needless to say, we take modern tech out of the equation, I stop doing this. Okay, I don't stop thinking, I don't stop writing, but take the technology out of the equation, and I certainly stop live streaming. You know, the other thing that we look at is what do you consider better? And I'd love to see how this plays out with you guys in the chat room. Or for that matter, those of you that are listening in after live stream ends. Drop me a line and let's start working on this neat little survey. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Do that and we go. This is just personal, just a personal question I'm going to pop out there. Now, I will tell you, I'm going to post this. I'm going to put this in this little survey together. I don't know how to do it the so-called proper way, but I will put the questions out there and see what kind of responses I get. Um, so I'm just putting this down there. What would make society better in your eyes? And this is literally a question. I'll post this tonight. Okay, and see what kind of responses I get. We are not talking an official survey in as much as I'm not government. Well, and that is where we have to realize something. There is always a trade-off. 0 point energy is excellent. Okay, because 0 point energy is not only about the ability to utilize to make society different, but here's the kicker. And you've already pinned it down. Okay. The people that are in the positions of power that have the energy place in the energy companies do not want free energy. They have no desire, no interest in free energy, in case you hadn't noticed. Okay, because you got to remember, bottom line, we release free energy to the world, and all of a sudden, the economic balance is completely tilted. Okay, so what we got to do is figure out how to start making society work together or encouraging society to work together. Okay, and that includes the megacorps, the people that you guys refer to as elites, the governments. All of them are integral parts of this society. And that is the real big kicker there. The funny part is, it does eliminate a lot of things, but the payoff of having free energy is not a financial one. Not directly. But think of it this way. It's like people saying that war is a good thing, that it's an economy booster. It really isn't. Okay, war has never brought peace. It doesn't boost the economy anymore. You desire to improve, to boost the economy, that's easy. go out to the company and go out to the other countries where, and of course it's the bottom line. Okay, and I mentioned this the other day. Greed is the killer here. Okay, if I as a company can pay somebody a buck and a half to do what I have to pay somebody here, $10 an hour or $20 an hour, then certainly if all I'm interested in is my dollar value, then that's the way to go. Okay, this is why I said, where it comes to what I'm working on, I'm not interested in paying bottom dollar. I'm not interested in going, gee, let's move out of the country because those people don't know what they're doing, or more to the point, they're being misguided much more efficiently than Westerners are. Okay, we have to look at the reality of karmic law. Okay, energy out, energy in. Also, very important, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. This is where the people that are running companies, the governments are running into a snag. They are not treating people the way they desire to be treated. Okay, now we can look at all sorts of things on that end. You know, one of the biggest things we got to remember, the way to make this world better or safer, more to the point, is literally get to know your neighbors. Learn how to communicate with them. It will take some a little bit of poking around, a little bit of stumbling. Okay, but mankind has focused so much recently on instant gratification and on, what's the easiest way to get and to make money without doing anything. Net result, I do not even know if there are any people that are alive that remember how to smelt metal in a physical forge. Actually, that's not true. I do know of a couple. What was it now? There was a show on that was showing the medieval ways of making weapons. Now, those people are instrumental in rebuilding this world if it buckles. You know, but I'm looking at things and going, okay, we gotta find a way to turn this around. Or more to the point, we gotta act on the ways we already know. Okay, now I will tell you, free energy, absolutely. Will it make things easier in some ways? Certainly. But here's the real kicker to it. Okay, it clearly will not make the world a safer place simply because society is the way it is. And if people are not willing to deal with each other, okay, then all the energy in the world will not help. But what I do desire to see happen is, and this is why I said, I'm going to put a survey together. Well, survey, I'm going to start asking questions and just making note of the answers I get in. Okay, and see what kind of answers come up. Things like, here's a big one for you. In your eyes, what change would make this world, would make your community a better community? Not necessarily whether it's safer. You know, but this is something like, what can we do on the individual community level? Because I will tell you, we take care of your home, you take care of the community takes care of the neighborhood takes care of the city. Okay. And this is why I say it is all connected. Okay. So what I'm doing now is starting to push a lot of things and hoping I can start to, well, never mind hoping. Okay. What I'm actually looking at is finding a way to start generating a higher income. It's amazing how many people I've had send me a message. Oh, I've got a way to guarantee improve your visibility. I have yet to see anybody actually follow through with what they've said. Therefore, as a simple note, am I going to be spending money on somebody else doing that at this point? Not yet. Don't have the cash flow. Okay. But safer boils down to improve communication, improve interaction amongst the people around you. Ultimately, the world becomes safer. Okay. This also applies, this applies to the political arena, the pedagogical one, the spiritual one, okay, the parental one. All of these things are tied together. Okay. But we got to realize that no matter how much one individual puts in, when you're dealing with two people, no matter how much effort one person puts in, it is only 50% of the required effort. And that's the whole thing, football. We are being raised to fear everything. Now here's a kicker, and don't take my word for it. Okay, do not take my word for it. Which I know, if I want to convince you, well, just take my word for it. This is the way it is. I'm telling you, don't. But about 5 years ago, maybe 10, time is not my friend a lot of the time. Okay, about probably a decade ago, I found out about an oil field under Lake Superior, one that can be reached from Canada and from the United States. Now, here's the kicker. There's more oil there, from what I gather, than there is in the Saudi Arabian oil flats. Okay, I know for an absolute certainty there is an existing technology out there that you take a cup of the oil sands out of Athabasca up in northern Alberta. You run it through this process. You get about a quarter of a cup of crude oil, about half a cup of sandbox clean sand, and the only runoff is water. Okay, but the problem is they buried the technology because they can keep prices high. In case you hadn't noticed, they fabricate prices anyway. Okay, I will tell you this. Here's how I work out pricing. When I take this book, now this book, I did a lot of I did a lot of work with it to start with. Now it sells for $20, but that is with about $10 in shipping included. Okay, at least, and that's rounding numbers off, certainly. So I take whatever it costs me to print it, double the cost, and then add the shipping, because I cannot afford to cover the shipping, all the shipping. Okay, with that in mind, this little book, that's why it hits 20. Okay, I don't worry about the issue of how much time it took to write. Okay, this one, on the other hand, this neat little novel here. Okay, per book, that cost me $20 to print. Okay, so I double the cost and add the shipping. Unfortunately, the shipping that I have to pay right now is $25. Okay, which is why the price of this is so high at this point. But I am looking to find a way to get distributors. Whether those are private individuals or companies, I'm not fussy. Okay. Donnie, you're absolutely right. You know, and these are just some of the neat little ideas that are coming in here. So we take my neat little pad. Yeah, that just happens to be the clipboard. So if I look back up here, um, yeah, football is saying, We should have no physical. Where are we here? Physical, financial, or emotional manipulation. So we're just going to deal with that because it does apply to all of it, but it also applies to spiritual manipulation. And get this, if you're listening to a priest, a pastor, a covenant leader, a self-help guru, whatever, that's telling you fear what's coming. Okay, fear the lack of stuff we've got. If you're being told to fear everything, you're being manipulated, spiritually speaking. Where are we? No manipulation. Now, where are we here? Yeah, Donna's adding, central place for resources for people in need, job training. And that's the whole kicker here. Okay, people are being taught they don't have to work. Handouts are coming out way too frequently, way too easy. Now, do not get me wrong. There are people that require assistance. Okay, there are people that do not have the skill set and cannot attain the skill set to support themselves. Okay, so it's got to be set up on a centralized setup. Now, remember I mentioned I was in the process of laying the groundwork, to put an actual healing center together. Okay, and today is Sunday, okay, so Friday I actually didn't do that, but Friday was weird. There are absolutely a staggering number of scammers. Okay, and again, these are all component parts that literally have come about because of one itty bitty piece of information. Okay, and that is mankind decided to focus on the easy way to get what you're aiming for. Okay, instant gratification. I'm entitled. Okay, the arguments you're seeing over land rights are insane. See, when we take a look at the North American Indians, their ancestors, I'm talking about going back to the 1800s, their ancestors believed nobody owned the planet. We were caretakers. Okay, they claimed themselves they were caretakers. Now, if they were caretakers, then what's the issue of getting their land back? It didn't belong to them. Okay, this would be akin to my going back to Wales. Now, my bloodline heritage puts my family on the throne in Wales. Now, does this make any sense that I should be able to go back to Wales and go, hey, my ancestors that were on the throne, I should have the throne back? It doesn't add up. Okay, if you know somebody is in need, okay, or you see somebody struggling, offer a helping hand if at all possible. Okay, I do see a number of videos that are being posted where you'll see somebody bullying a person living on the street. Why? You know, this is the thing I've asked bullies this. Why would you do that? Like, does it actually make you feel better? I know from my standpoint, it sure doesn't make me feel any better when I watch it. Where it comes up to scammers, okay, again, these are people that are taught, they've figured out how to work on fear, how to work with manipulation to get you to give them what they desire. Best idea, if you don't know the person properly, giving money or giving access to your computer, this is not a wise move. Jack is just saying here, the monetary system does not reward laborers, the actual builders. It tends to favor the idea people. Absolutely, it does. But let me ask you this. Okay, and this applies to any one of you hiring that is running your own company. And bear in mind, running your own household is akin to running a company. Okay, when you're looking at picking somebody up, do you base your picking them up, if at all possible? Like let's assume for a moment you've got the money to pay a higher dollar value. Will you pay a higher dollar value to get somebody to do your work if you know one or two things? Maybe they're having a little bit of a time, maybe they're not quite as efficient, but they are legally aware of they are legally proficient at doing things. Are you going to pay what you feel they're worth, or are you going to pay what the industry says they're worth? Uh-oh. Oh, Derek, thank you so much. Derek is just saying, rest in peace, Suzanne Summers. That is Suzanne Summers, if I recall correctly, was the blonde from Three's Company. She passed away last night and passed away yesterday. Okay, and that was one of those few sitcoms I actually did watch. That was with John Ritter, Suzanne Summers, and I forget the brunette's name. But yes, these people are going to start passing away. Thankfully, some of them are passing away by, if you will, natural causes. Okay, natural as in no drug overdose, no murder, no severe accident, just the body quit. Okay, but you are right, right, Jack. The monetary system right now, well, the monetary system is fine, but the people running it and the people utilizing it have decided that if you're putting the physical work in, you shouldn't be getting as much money as the guy that came up with the idea. Well, I'll tell you this, whatever the idea, without the physical workers, you're not getting anywhere. Okay, and this is why I say, when I'm looking at my company, okay, not only am I tracking word of mouth, okay, but I'm setting it up in such a way that 80% of my net profit, once my expenses are covered, okay, you know, as my once my expenses are covered, and I live a very simple life, 80% of my net profit will be going back out to the community. Okay, whether it's the people working, contributing, buying, purchasing, doesn't matter from my end. You know, and this is why I'm looking to set an example, as it were. I mean, we have to remember, I go back, I go back 10 years ago. I literally was paid $2,600 an hour. I now am only charging 80, not because I figure I'm not worth it, but because, quite frankly, the people that require assistance don't have that kind of money. World, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Let us see here. World Bigfoot right here. This is the live stream for World Bigfoot, right? For World Bigfoot Radio. And again, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, do give him a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. Okay. Now, I'm looking at this and going, okay, I wonder. Oh, I don't have that information. What I'm finding with this stream, I look at the way I figure out numbers is I look at our peak concurrent, multiply that by the average time people are staying in. I do appreciate that, World. Thank you so much for sharing, and for sharing your time with us. And hence why when you come in, because I know your schedule is insane sometimes. This is why I've already warned people that when I get done this stream, there is no doubt I'm going to be laying down for an hour or so. Okay. But then my energy levels have been a little screwy. Part of that may have been an issue of I haven't been eating as much because I've been concentrating so much on the idea of I desire to hit this goal. Okay. Weight wise, I'm targeting 180. So now is the time for me to do that. Just when, how you doing, Gordana? Glad you could join us. And yes, the reality of it is when you're looking at what you're worth, okay, yes, I charge $80 an hour for my time now. I've got 50, well, 86 to 23. Good, my brain's working well. Nope, go there. I've got 37 years, okay, 50 years under my belt as far as non-professional, 37 as far as generating an income. So when I talk about charging $80 an hour, okay, that's because I don't see them. And number one, I've got to generate an income somehow. Frankly, my savings, my investments are running close to depletion. So I got to do something pretty quick here. Okay, but when we look at slaves, when we look at the whole of society, take a look and figure it out. Now, I will tell you, with the wages and with the price of things the way they are right now, you got one and two options. You either have to bring the price down. Oh, Jack, just a clarification, and this is simply a point of view, really. You are absolutely correct. Our unique personalities and distinctness does mean we will never be we will never be totally the same. But the value of each individual, from a spiritual standpoint, in my opinion, is equal across the board. The amount of money somebody has in their pocket does not mean they are a better person. It does not mean they are a better individual or a more useful individual. It may be nothing more than they knew how to market things a little better. Gee, and here I thought necessity was the mother of all invention. Cowie, how you doing? But ultimately you are right. If you're starving, you're going to try and figure things out. Okay. In my case, I'm looking at right now, my finances since December have been doing this with very little of a climb up. So I'm at a point I've run out of room on that end. Okay. But we start working together. Now, think of this. Okay, just for example, where did I put it? That over there. There it is. Just for example, I take this. Okay, if it's being delivered to somebody, we're looking at 20 bucks Canadian. But that 20 bucks Canadian comes into my possession. Only 10 of that is the cost of production. Okay, so $10 of that, out of that $10, eight goes back to the community. Okay, that's because I'm a firm believer. I don't have to have everything off of one person. Okay, and we have to realize that it's a case of sharing the burden. You desire to turn the world around. You don't do it on your own. We talk about the president or the prime minister of a given country as though they are the crux of the problem. They are not. Okay, they are just another person. Okay, you think about it. You get in the States, you guys have one president. Okay, and you've got how many million people? Okay, is it really the president's fault that society has tanked? The lawmakers are not the president. Yes, he's got certain abilities. Okay, but what I found out, and I'm not going to tell you where I found out. You get to do your own research on this one. But I found out from somebody in a very in a very nice position that when a president takes over the country, okay, and I can only assume that the prime ministers of different countries have the same setup. Okay, um, you know, when they take over, they've got a book that's like this thick that shows all the policies that are supposed to be left in place. These policies were initiated in 1776. They're a little out of date. Gordon's going in 2000. I had an idea. If all people stopped working for a week, everything would change. Well, yeah, it would. If everybody were to stop working for a week, your entire society would turn upside down. Not only would chaos reign, but your violent crime rate would skyrocket. Okay, and how many people would starve to death? Because do remember one little detail: working by clinical definition, okay, and by mathematical calculation. I forget the actual formula, but it boils down to moving a certain weight or a certain mass over a certain distance in to get it to another location. With that in mind, if everyone stops working, this means all of you are going to sit on your tail feathers. Okay. Now, the reality is, let me ask you this, okay, because I do understand where you're coming from there, Gordana. Let me ask you this. People complain we have taxes, you know, but I do feel the tax system is completely backwards, you know, where, the people that are working hard are paying taxes. The ones that have an income of 100,000, 200,000, or whatever no longer have to pay taxes. Why? Those are the people that can afford it. This is where society has gone completely backwards. And I do agree with you, Gordana. Where it comes to, we've got to start relying on the smaller people. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a bad thing there, Jack. Yes, robotics can do a lot of things, but robotics also screw up, because you got to remember, robots do not repair each other yet. And if we're lucky, it'll stay that way. You know, take a look at what happens. We're getting into that funny little thing about AI. Think about it. AI boils down to artificial intelligence. It is using logic with no feeling, with no compassion. I could go down there, Jack, but I don't see the point. Okay, society is an absolute shambles. It absolutely is. Okay, some tasks are made a lot safer by technology. You think about the safety equipment that we use. Take a look at your first responders. Okay, take a look at your firemen. If it weren't for technological advancement, okay, you would end up with a very simple little situation. A lot of dead people. But we also have to realize that those technological advancements come through some of these major industries. Okay. Now, yeah, I get a kick out of this. You know, The sad part is this. Okay, I could go on for hours about what's wrong with society. I could go on for, quite literally, I could go on for decades. But then I remember where this all goes. But I see all these things about people talking about, oh, we stopped doing this, we stopped doing that. Here's all the problems in society. Can anybody name one thing, just one, okay, that they feel is an improvement over what society used to be? Okay, just one. Okay, this is where we have a problem. Okay, everybody looks, or most people look at the negative. Now, I remember Sodom and Gomorrah from a very direct level. Okay, I remember my life in Sodom and Gomorrah. I remember what happened. And rest assured, that was no fun. Okay, what we've got to do as a society is start dwelling on the positive things that have changed. Okay, but while we're doing that, keep the older methods alive. Like, for instance, admittedly, I will use a calculator. It's solar powered. You notice it doesn't plug into anything. This is a solar powered calculator, which means I set it out in the sunlight and the thing still runs. This calculator is 40 years old. Very few people have a computer today. Okay, as in a modern computer like an IBM and Apple. Very few people have a computer today that the programming has not been left alone, and it still works as good as the day it was born. And they call that a technological advancement. This thing is 40 years old, and I'm not even going to begin to try and figure out how old this little concoction is. But technology has a very definite benefit. Okay, the stupid part there, we look at child labor laws there, football, and the stupid part there is that we've got the laws in place, but so many people, okay, so many people turn around and take advantage of that. Never mind the child labor laws. How many adults are being paid below poverty line and being forced to work? Okay, I was talking to somebody the other day. They are a self-proclaimed, they're self-proclaimed and proclaimed church-going Christian. And yet the church that claims they're helping the sick and the poor would not give him a little bit of money to put food on his table. There is a problem here. And yeah, you're absolutely right, Jack. The thing is, can it be practiced worldwide? The answer is yes. And this is exactly what I'm aiming at striving to do. I am not perfect. I've got some serious hangups. Okay. Now, since we're going into the trafficking side, I'm going to throw a wrench in things because I only just discovered this the other day. Child slave labor, okay, is appalling. Now, the moment anybody talks about slavery, okay, and again, do not take my word for it. Okay, the moment anybody talks about slavery, so many people go, well, the black people were brought over as slaves by the whites. Okay, and I'm not debating they were. What most people don't realize is first, black people were selling black people to the white people and shipping them out. Bear in mind, they did that before the white people ever came in. They did it amongst themselves. The thing that shocked the heck out of me was that I found out just about a week ago that when black slaves were finally freed, as in they had served their indenturement. Now, I'm not talking about when slavery was ended. I'm talking about when this indenturement was completed. Many black former slaves went out and bought more black slaves to do their work. This is a societal mindset. It's got nothing to do with skin color. And no, Philip, much as I would like to think so, um, I'm pretty proficient at putting my foot in my mouth. Okay. I'm pretty proficient at setting somebody off. Okay. But am I perfect? Not at all. People have said, oh, you're an expert. In my opinion, no, I'm really not. Yes, I've had different experiences than others. Okay. And even I look at what I went through and go, okay, am I just completely off my nut here? Okay, I've had 3 shrinks tell me that if no, correction. I've had 3 shrinks tell me there's nothing wrong with me. Boy, did they ever screw up. But without exception, every psychiatrist, psychologist, counselor, or student of the above, or teacher of the above, every single one of them without exception, okay, have told me the same thing. The way to tell if you're going mad is if you are questioning, am I losing in my mind? Then the answer is no, you're not. So, yeah, my mind is a whole lot different than a lot of people's, and I do not have the physical capacity to look at the world the way you do. Okay, I just don't. And yes, there is medical documentation for that. However, I'm not about to go looking for it because that would mean, world, thank you so much for sharing with us. And thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely, guys. When we close down here, or for that matter, and this is gonna sound backwards, if you want to go check him out, I'm gonna be here for another half hour anyway. But go and give him a listen, see what he says. Okay. And again, if you like what he's got to share, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. And Jack, I really do appreciate that. You know, we have to look at society and go, okay, where are the hiccups? And this is why I just came across, let me see here. Right here we go. Under A. Wonder if that was done in writing. W. Oh, there we are. I think. Apparently, my filing system isn't working quite as well as I would like, but I found a whole stack of articles I wrote a long time. Jack, not a problem. What do we got? Oh, I can understand that. One thing just to be clear there, Jack, and I really do appreciate that. Um, because of the fact that I've got and like I picked the people that I put in. You know, I picked the people that I've given, what the heck are they, the moderators to. I picked them quite intentionally, and yes, as you've seen, I promote world site as well, and I have absolutely told each one of the people in here that are moderators, if they've got a site, absolutely do promote it. Obviously, don't flood the concept with it. Matt Geek, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And Philip, I don't think I saw you come in. But let's pop up here. Okay. Oh, yeah, you were telling me you thought I was. Um, you know, Philip goes, wealthy white people were trafficking poor white people as well. Racism was found was found to be a good way to keep doing slavery in the wake of Enlightenment, Age of Reason. Pretty much. The stupid part, and again, check your facts. Now, I believe it was way back in the early 1800s that slavery was abolished in the United States. The silly part is in 1996, check the numbers. My recollection is that in 1996, Pennsylvania finally made slavery illegal. And yet, across the board, worldwide, people are not paid enough to be able to afford a decent meal in their own country. Now, is this not slavery? Okay, in my eyes, anyway. What have we got here? Phelps goes, divide and conquer people with less power by color. That excuse worked too well for too long and sometimes still works. Unfortunately, I don't think it's very enlightened. I agree wholeheartedly with you. I absolutely agree with you. This is why when I listen to somebody standing at the front of a crowd of people going, "You're going to go to hell if you don't tell and do exactly what I tell you." You know, I've been to hell. It's a wonderful place. Hot tubs are way too warm. But I'll tell you, do you ever meet a lot of people? You know, but if you think your masseuse is good, you should try the one I go see in hell. That chap has deep tissue massage down to an absolutely phenomenal art. I mean, the thing we have to look at here. What do we got? Yeah. See, the thing is, I used to blame the major media for all the negative news that kept going out. Okay, now, yeah, I'm gonna cover that in a sec there, Jack. Um, you know, I used to blame the major media, just like many of you did, until social media hit the screen. When social media hit the screen, okay, when that happened, that's why I discovered that the reason so much negativity is being propagated is not because of the major media moguls. It is because of the common people, the people that are living in this world that are dealing with it. Okay. That's first and foremost. But I'm looking at this. Philip, you go, where was it? I think it was Philip. No, Jack, you were saying, I mean, times change. Times change, yes. But if that were truly the stable case, why then are we doing the exact same thing we did back at the end of the Roman Empire, at the end of the real heavy duty ruling monarchies? Why, if times change? Well, the reason's simple. Times change, people have yet to figure it out. So certainly, we are now in 2023, but the massive majority of people are still living based on 5000 BC. Okay, we're still living on this idea of go to war, kill whoever you don't like because you want more of their stuff. Okay, Hammurabi's law is still being practiced a lot today. In other words, somebody wrongs you, wrong them more. Okay, this is absolutely the wrong move. Okay, and it is the one that's got to be turned around. Okay, I'm just letting that come down. Jack is going, I have an interesting stat many may not know. The percentage of blacks that live in Mississippi per capita is the largest in the US. Now, and I won't argue that, and thanks so much for that added information there, Jack. Really do appreciate it. No, Philip, they aren't. But the common people are in charge of what comes out of their mouth and what comes out of their fingers. Okay, you yourself have absolute total control over what you say or what you type. Okay, you are right. They don't have control of the algorithms. They don't have control of technology. And yet people are trying to turn technology over to technology, as in intelligence with no emotional guideline. Okay, this is why I am still a firm believer that the best advertising, the best way of passing a message is still word of mouth. And I do mean talk to your neighbor. Okay, talk to your neighbor. If you're going to a church, talk to the people there. Question the negative rhetoric that's going on. Joe goes, Joe's just adding, and I do respect you for this, Joe. Joe goes, the way I see it, if you attend just one mass at church and go to confession and confess as best you can and try to do a bit better, you will go to heaven. Joe, you just hit the nail on the head. Okay. It's not a question of being perfect. It's a question of making the effort to be better than you were. Okay, to not make the same, shall we say, negatively emotionally charged moves that you've done in the past. The key is when you go to confession, okay, when you go to confession, honestly, that confession has little to do, in my opinion, little to do with the priest. But let's work inside the framework. You confess, I know I did this wrong. Please forgive me. This is absolutely the way to do it. And then when you leave the confessional, you turn around and do something that is not down the same road. Okay, I had a remarkable experience years ago dealing with a guy that had been in the blood, he'd been involved in the Crips, as in the Crips and the Bloods. Okay, and he desired to get out. So I worked with him for literally, I probably worked with him for about a year, but we got him out without anybody getting killed, especially him, without anybody getting beaten on. It was just a question of helping him look at the world in a different way, in a different run. And this is what we've got to deal with. You know, now what were you doing, Derek? Well, I probably shouldn't ask that. I know another guy that got kicked out of church for doing something. He got caught doing the wrong thing in the confessional. Or maybe it was the wrong person, but you get the idea. Now, here's the kicker, Derek. You were raised Catholic, you went to Catholic school, and they kicked you out. Now, let that sink in for a minute, people. These are the people that are supposed to take the wayward, they're supposed to take the misguided. Okay, that is the biggest issue you have to look at. They are the ones supposed to be helping the poor, the downtrodden, the sick, the disadvantaged. And yet they kick one of their own out of the church. Okay. You know, it just boggles my mind that they do that, but I know they do that on a regular basis. And Derek's going, I need to get a hot tub. Yeah, I'm quite happy with mine. Mine's a bathtub. I don't use it. I mean, I do use a shower, but oops. Now, this is absolutely talk about a stupid reason to throw somebody out of a church. Oh, you did not, you were not absolutely perfectly behaved according to the instructor. Had nothing to do with God. Okay, you think about it. If God created everything, Okay, God created the ability to cuss. Would God create something He didn't want you, they didn't figure you were going to do at some point? And rest assured, God has been called a lot of things. Some of them are even repeatable in polite company. I've got that in common with Him. And just for those of you that want to go down that road, okay, um, yeah, there is no question I am not perfect. Okay, no question at all. Where do we go? Well, again, when you're looking at the Sons of the Confederacy, we are dealing with people that are looking at things that are, to say the least, a little misguided. The moment you start, see, children are not born greedy, prejudiced. Okay, they are not born violent individuals. They are taught greed, jealousy, violence, hatred, fear. You name it, they're taught it. Oh, I remember the movie, I just never watched it. Derek's asking who remembers the 1985 movie Summer Rental with John Candy. I was not a John Candy fan, in all fairness, back then. Still not, to be honest. But then I'm pretty certain my sense of humor is about as skewed as it gets. But yes, absolutely. When we start looking at the spiritual guides of this world, and especially when we look at the ones that go, I'm here to lead you to a better life. So fear everybody and hate everybody and lock the doors when they don't agree totally with you. You know, Jack's going, I was fortunate. I was raised right. Hate is taught, not innate. And that is very much the case. I am one of the lucky few. My mom and dad met in March of 1956. Okay. Dad was in the military, mom was still living at home. By August of 56, mom and dad were married. They left my mom's home, moved to the matrimonial home another province away, and immediately the following year had a child. Now my mom and dad spent 60 years under one roof. I do not ever recall them fighting. Okay. You know, the reality of it is I was taught rules from a very different world, I think. Now, mind you, understand, my father always said it takes a bigger man to walk away from a fight than it does to throw the first punch. And yet, the man that taught me that was also the man that literally, at that time when he was younger, if somebody swore in front of a woman, not the woman he was dating, just a woman, okay, my dad would beat the living stuffing out of the guy. Okay. I love that way the way you put that, Philip. You know, I'm gonna modify one small little detail here, football. Football cat is gone. All women should be treated with respect. And I'm going to isolate that and go, everyone and everything should be treated with respect. Okay. The moment we start isolating, and even that simple, although accurate, innocent statement does say all women should. Okay. It leaves out so many, and they're right in and of itself, right there, we have segregation. Okay. Now, Philip right afterwards goes, I was raised by television, so I have issues. Yeah, definitely. Let's face it. The morals that were taught when I was a kid, we had neat little movies, neat little shows. Little House on the Prairie, Family or not Family Guy, Family Affair. We had the Brady Bunch, the Partridge Family. These all talked about families working together, okay, and trying to treat each other decently, or trying to help the community, okay, and absolutely football. Jack goes, football, I'm more women oriented. I can trace the origins of religions and find the women that woman was the first god. Well, here's the thing, I don't care which one was what. From my standpoint, I'm pretty black and white. Okay. First and foremost, there are, like I said, we could go off on a tangent on all the things that was another one, football. And yes, I do remember the land of the lost. You know, the reality of it is this. There are so many things that are now being overlooked and being chalked up as, oh, this is just okay. Take a look at what we used to have when you were looking at cartoons. They canceled a lot of the cartoons because they were, number one, too violent. So they replaced them with Call of Duty, with video games. Okay, because those aren't violent. We know that. Okay. I mean, the worst game that was on the market at the time was Monopoly. Okay. And Monopoly was about financial dominance. Absolutely. Okay. Some of those games absolutely had to have a point somewhere in it. But now what we've got, the funny thing is, yeah, I remember the names, but I don't remember where from, other than obviously that was the Kroc brothers. Jack, if you look at society, mankind, males, were dominantly in the protective side. They were the ones defending the physical world around them. Okay, the women were the ones that figured out societal law. They figured out the healing techniques, shelter, cooking. This is what the women's did. What the women's. This was brilliant English. Ah, thank you so much. Puffin Stuff, I used to literally, that was one of the few shows that I would actually go out of my way to watch. Okay, was HR Puffin Stuff. You know, I mean, from my standpoint, it was brilliant. Yeah, see, the thing there, Joe, Joe's just going, they probably wouldn't agree with my sense of humor. My, whatchamacallit, my ex-wife literally told me she didn't want me ever saying foot in a church while she was married to me because she was afraid I would call the pastor on his sermon. Where are we here? Yeah, I don't the Electro Woman and Dyna Girl. I don't honestly recall much. You know, but let's face it, I have trouble recalling what I had for breakfast. Although on the plus side, I do recall what I had for supper tonight. I turned around and had a rasher of bacon for supper. Philip goes, I learned that we should all ignore each other, but drugs turn your brain into fried eggs, but not drugs the teacher gives you, even though they're in the dare book. Yeah, and stay in school, but don't be too curious, because you know the vice of curiosity. Me, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And answer to your question, I'm doing well enough. Really kind of stressed over the way my life has gone right now, but I've got it on. I know what I'm up to with it. Okay. And what I'm going to do, and I've got listed right here. I've got some articles that I'm going to be posting tonight and then putting into the newsletter as well. Oh, me, first and foremost, in this chat room, all caps is not yelling, it's not rude. It simply makes it easier to see. Okay. I mean, absolutely, an apology is accepted, but just rest assured, it is not seen, at least not by me. And frankly, that's kind of the important part in this case. Okay. I mean, I've made mistakes before where I hit all caps. I did something the other day, sent a picture to my other half, and told her, I sent her a picture and I said, "So what do you think of it?" And she goes, I can't see it." Bear in mind, my other half is 100% blind. Yeah, Rebel. Holy mackerel, you're right. This has just flown by. The 2 hours has just gone by at a mind-boggling speed. And to think when I started the stream tonight, I was having trouble with my throat. Okay. By the way, that electrolytic balance obviously worked. Yeah, the funny thing there, Philip, when I got my license, okay, I'm driving with my mom. I'm learning how to drive. And I looked at mom and I says, "Mom, which speed limit am I supposed to follow? The one that's posted or the one everybody else is doing?" Mom looked at me and she goes, "Definitely the one that's posted." Now, my parents taught me some pretty solid guidelines. And hopefully I am doing justice with the way I carry myself at this point. Although granted, my financial manipulation would have been done better. Could have been done better. Absolutely, Gordana. The reality is there's this fine thing called talk the talk, walk the walk, or walk the talk. Okay, I'm a firm believer. If I'm going to tell you something, if you're going to ask me a question, I'm going to give you an honest answer to it. Okay, you may not like the answer, and I'm not going to make any guarantees that you will. Although I will guarantee I won't lie to you to make you feel better unless you directly ask me to, and then I'll debate it. Okay, the reality of it is that we have an opportunity right here, right now. Okay, um, okay. Me's asking, what's your view on the new Bigfoot footage in Colorado? Well, hiccup, I haven't seen it. Okay, so I cannot tell you. And that's just the reality of it. But then I don't go doing a lot of watching videos. Certainly will turn a movie on in the background and let it play while I'm working. But realistically, I'm writing 29 books concurrently, a free newsletter, reading 3 books concurrently. I don't have a lot of time that I actually dedicate to the other side of it. Well, yeah, walk the dog does, unless you're pulling a stunt with a yo-yo. Okay, real nasty. You remember the old games, the old toys, the yo-yo and the clackers. Clackers, mini bola. These were an enjoyable pastime. You know, I mean, they weren't good for tripping much, but boy, could they do a number on your knuckles. Gordana, I like the way you phrased that. Gordana said, "The world is going crazy. We have to spin in direction we want." Okay. In other words, take a look at where your life is. Are you content with the way your life is right here, right now? If not, it's time to start changing the way you're doing things. Learn from your miscalculations. You will make mistakes. Everybody does. Lord knows I've made way more than my fair share. Okay. Am I happy with the miscalculations I made? Absolutely not. Do I like to believe I've learned from them? Certainly, because there are some things I've done, that none of them were well. I have done things that were illegal. Never ended up with a criminal record. Never ended up even being pulled over for driving for speeding. No, correction. Never ended up getting a ticket for speeding. Okay, this does not mean I'm better than anybody. It simply means I was fortunate enough to be able to work around it and not get the ticket. And no, it didn't mean I bribed anybody. You know, I mean, the last accident I had was, well, my son is now 26, so the last time I even lost control of the car and drifted into a snowbank was 15 years ago. You know, yeah, and the funny thing there is modesty is, like I'm just looking, Joe goes, the modesty code for women at church hasn't changed much. No, but the tolerance level at church, from what I gather from the people that go, has dropped to a deplorable level. Nicely done there, Jack. I remember one day, okay, now drinking and driving I wouldn't do. In a really twisted sense, I was lucky because I warned a friend of mine in grade 10. I told her flat out, I knew she was going to a grad party with a couple of older people. I told her, I said, for pity's sakes, do not get into a car with anybody that's been drinking. Don't do it. Right? Yeah, you're likely to get drunk if you do. I says, phone your parents, phone a friend, anybody that hasn't been drinking. Doesn't matter if you have to walk. Well, she didn't listen. So in grade 10, she got a full page picture of her in our yearbook because she died because she climbed into the car with somebody that had been drinking. Both the people that had been drinking that she got into the car with lived through it. The friend of mine was then did not live through it. No, not a grab party. Graduation. You know, the sad part is, when you're dealing with that, you know, people have to, you really do have to take responsibility for your actions. Problem is, if you're that young, you may not know what those actions lead to. So talk to somebody that's done it successfully before. Okay. Now, we are getting right down to the wire here, guys. Okay. And like, as you know, I only run this 2 hours. Okay. But what you may not realize is that by the time this 2 hour run is over, quite often now, quite regularly, we've got over 24 hours viewing time on the stream. So I know this message is reaching more people, and which I am so grateful for. But as I said, if you like the stream, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of it. Okay, what did I do there? Just absolutely bizarre. Because the reality is I'm not actually going anywhere anytime soon. Okay, as I mentioned a year ago, I just about closed the doors here, but we are hitting the 2 hour mark. With this in mind, absolutely. If you get the chance, drop over to World Bigfoot and take a look at his stream. Myself, I'm going to bring this to a close. I do thank you all so very much for sharing your time with me tonight. And I do wish you all the best. Until we meet again, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.